Coming in a comfortable seated position, grounding the sit bones and lengthening through the spine and the crown of the head. Really creating space, and the chin is tucked in slightly. And relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the breath. You have a soft gaze of the eyes following the line of the nose. Attention is turned inward. Exploring bandhas or locks, energy locks that we work with during the practice. There are three main bandhas, three main locks, one just above the pelvic floor, Mula Bandha, one just below the navel, about 4 fingers below the navel, Uddiyana Bandha. And the third here, just below the throat, Jaladhara Bandha. During the practices, we mainly use Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha, so we will explore those. They are very subtle, energetic areas that we can use to regulate the energy within the body and to keep the energy within us. They are centers that we can activate during our practice to protect our physical body, to make us feel more light, to warm the body, and also to maintain the energy within, so we can use the energy to heal ourselves instead of losing the energy through the practice. Just taking a deep breath in and out. Either natural breath or gentle ujjayi breath. Just for a moment, tuning in, taking a couple of breaths. And starting to lift up the pelvic floor. And lifting, 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 and release. Then lifting up the pelvic floor. Holding there. And release. So Mula Bandha is activated by gently lifting up the pelvic floor. And in the beginning, a more physical sensation and practice, and later on, slowly it will develop into a more energetic practice. So lift up the pelvic floor again, hold, make it stronger, lifting, 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 like you're holding your pee, and release. So now, bringing our focus to the lower belly, above the pelvic floor. Just observe any sensation. Now lifting very gently, as soft as you can do. And just hold that and activate Mula Bandha like that. Just very softly, without much effort. Just lift up pelvic floor very gently. See if you can keep breathing with that. And noticing that it activates this area and bringing more awareness there. Okay, release. So bring your attention to the perineum, the space between the genitals and anus. Now bringing from there your attention on the inside of the perineum and to the outside of the perineum. Back to the inside of the perineum and the outside. Back to the inside. Now gently lifting up the pelvic floor, soft as you can possibly do. Hold that and breathe. So working with the perineum, just keep breathing and keep activating this area. By bringing the focus from in and outside of area of the perineum, you might feel a switch, a very gentle shift in the attention from inside to outside, which is activating this energetic area as well. So there is different ways of approaching, of activation. Both is working the same, while the second one is more subtle. So if you don't feel anything right now, just don't worry about it and try it again in another moment. And we go 4 fingers below the navel, so placing the fingers below. The index just on top of the navel. And where your pinky is, gently press into the lower belly. A little bit deeper, just very soft. Good, and releasing. So bringing full awareness to that point on the inside, about 1.5 centimeter on the inside. Now gently pull in the lower belly, just to make the lower belly still. Breathing is more focused on the side of the ribcage, the diaphragm area. And by pulling in the lower belly gently, we're activating Uddiyana Bandha. Now release. So we're gonna just start to inhale and exhale a little bit deeper in and deeper out. It's very slow and gentle, but full in an exhalation. Inhale fully and exhale slowly, fully, all the way out. Inhale. You feel a movement at the point of the lower belly and at the area of Mula Bandha, 1.5 centimeter above the perineum, pelvic floor, just above. And again, exhale fully. One more time, inhale. Fully exhale. And when you're reaching the end of the exhale, just hold for a moment. Hold that feeling in the pelvic floor and the lower belly and keep that while you inhale. And keep that when you exhale. So you feel full activation of the core of the lower belly. Right? The pelvic floor is gently pulled up just by the breath and by the pulling in of the belly that comes automatically. Now release. Just take a couple of normal deep breaths. So now you have experienced the feeling of the Mula Bandha by pulling up the pelvic floor or by exhaling fully. When we exhale fully, it is activated, and by keeping it that way and continuing to breathe, we can actually experience the feeling of the Mula Bandha more clearly. Also the same with Uddiyana Bandha, just below the navel. Okay, So coming for yourself to all fours, just have a couple of movements just to let you feel Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha while we move. So we are now in all fours on knees and hands. Exhale fully. Inhale. Exhale again fully. Now keep holding that feeling of Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, and keep breathing while we do. So pulling up the pelvic floor, pulling in lower belly gently without much effort, and sitting down towards the heels while keeping that activation. Lower the forehead down to the ground. Keep that activation coming back to all fours. You feel there's a change, right? Sitting down towards the heels. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha. Pulling up pelvic floor, pulling in lower belly. Coming back to all fours, tucking in the toes. Keep doing that while you come into downward facing dog. And for downward facing dog, back to all fours. Into a child pose. Inhale, coming to all fours. So while we practice some practices, we have Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha activated during the whole practice. And while we move, exhaling down all the way to the floor, and coming into swings pose with the elbows underneath the shoulders for a moment. And while we move, the feeling changes. So it's not a static feeling, it's an activation of energy that moves when we move. Inhale and exhale fully, as much as you can. And again, hold that feeling and just inhale to the side of the ribs. Good, keep doing that. Keep breathing also, coming into upward facing dog. Then coming to the knees, hips go up, coming back to all fours. Rounding the spine, exhale. Inhale, hollow the back. Just exploring Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha. And exhale. When we practice the young practices and classes, you can explore further with it. Sitting down towards the heels, keeping that feeling, resting the forehead down, coming back to all fours. You feel the change, right? Knees to the front, crossing the ankles and sitting down. And observing when we're sitting still. So activate Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, and it will come and it will go. And when you forget about it, just reactivate. Work with it. Explore. And keep breathing with it. So when we have Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha engaged, we have less space to breathe. So the breath is moving up above the area of the navel, so which is the diaphragm area. Really to the side, front and back of the rib cage. And when we stop the practice, we also fully release and letting it go. No more effort. Taking a couple of deep breaths and relaxing the lower belly. No more effort. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale. Just exhale through the mouth. So now without activation, without any effort, just observe for a moment the lower belly, the areas that we have just been practicing with. Without activating without doing anything. Just sit and relax. One more deep breath. And then place the hands together in front of the heart. Namaste.